right, the rule of thumb is north by northwest are even number addresses. South by southwest, or I'm sorry, south by southeast. South by southeast are going to be oddballs. Think of Florida. Everybody's an oddball in Florida. So south or east or southeast on the addresses are going to be even numbers. If you go north by northwest, you're dealing with odd. This would probably be like the western direction. So that's odd numbers. I found a Lynn Driver house right over here. Back there, that one back there off Berwick, which ends in 20. That's gonna be a Lynn Driver house. We're gonna use it in Lynn Driver. But I gotta get Linda ready for that. It's the one I just filmed that was in black and white. All right, we gotta head over to Dave's Hot Chicken, which is a Brian Irving. But Lynn Driver's like apocalyptic, so she still working for DoorDash during the apocalypse, and she drops off at these types of houses right here, and she'll just drop off a little bag like that. I think this one would be a good one. It's right off of Berwick, and I guess that's Granbury right over here. Granbury is what they, yeah, Granbury and Berwick. There's some cool Lynn Driver kind of looking stuff here. I like this stuff too, right here. That would look good black and white as well. Maybe come to a time when there's not a lot of people around. We are on Benbrook Boulevard. That's a yellow. So that's Benbrook Boulevard. And we've got on Granbury Road, 2 of them, back to back. See them? Be great for Lynn Driver. Yeah, I know. Went all the way from Colorado. I very much apologized. I very much apologize. I got rushed because of a phone call. Okay, so Nick Johnson has a channel. He does demographics. He's a great YouTuber. He's done a tremendous amount of footage. He continues. Lots of narration. He covers poverty, even affluent neighborhoods. He covers so much information and demographics across the nation, or of the United States of America, and he's a YouTuber. Now, on his channel, he covered some of the tornado damage in the South, and had come across a man. He left his Venmo. The survivor left his Venmo on his channel, and you can go to his Venmo and give a couple dollars, $10, whatever. He didn't have a lot on his Venmo. He showed his Venmo, and it's got a little dash on it. But anyway, he was stuck in the hallway. His house was destroyed. His daughter was with him, and he put his body over his daughter's to protect her from any flying objects, and they survived the tornado together. That's what God wants us to do. You are to sacrifice yourself so the other person can make it. Because isn't that what Jesus did for you? There goes the cross. You know, it's that whole thing about, you know, would you really want the whole world and win everything if it costs the life of your brother? No, you know, that you're not going to enjoy it. You're always going to be guilty. You're always going to feel guilt for hurting your brother and stepping on your brother so that you could have everything. And look, you know, there's a lot of people in the world, they're just happy with the little things. The little things are beautiful. A cup of coffee, a nice book, reading a book on a Sunday, walking the dog. I don't have a dog, I have a cat. But I want to get a cat harness so I can walk him. Petting your cat. Excuse me. Helping somebody, whatever it may be, you know. Going to the pond, maybe going fishing. You know, I gotta confess, I always wanted to be a movie star. But, you know, Bradley got to do it. I'm not really telling him to step down. Maybe that's what God wants, but maybe God wants Bradley to at least maybe do something that kind of what I'm talking about, you know, like that brings about Christian fundamentals. I know he's Roman Catholic and I'm Protestant, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess sometimes I want to take it, you know, but I don't want to take it from Bradley because I know he's going to win an Oscar next year, or at least be nominated. I know I talk about Bradley Cooper because I went to his same school and he's a big star. He got to work with Clint Eastwood and he's got to do it all. You know, these are cool bridges. And, you know, I can't ask any artist to step down. That's not right. But I can ask them to share a little bit. And that's stepping down. You know, if you're going to share a little bit, you're going to step down a little bit, you know. Look at that house right over there on the thing, right way over there. You see it? It's like a wide load house. Just sitting there with blinkers on. Wonder if they're needing help or something went wrong. But it's just a house sitting by the highway right there. I'm talking about Gus Van Sant. Anyway, so, you know, same thing with Wahlberg. You know, Wahlberg is a great star, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, got past that. They know what I mean. Meaning, like, share some of the funding. But, you know, here's the thing, you know, we're lucky to be filmmakers in today's society because we have a platform that appreciates that. And I know they've got a lot of work to do, you know, because they're artists. And artists have to be artists. That's just how their nature is, you know. They're gonna take what they can. Yeah. Let's see if not a whole lot, but it's a little bit. Appreciate you. Yep. Okay, now another thing I want to talk about in campaigning. I want to talk about the homeless problem with our society. It's not cured. And we need to find a way where we can have free shelter. So it'll be a free shelter program. Hotels can get involved where they have sections of hotels that are only dedicated for the homeless. And your only thing that you have to do is just tell them that you are. That's it. That's the rule. Just tell. Just tell. Go, you know, these hotels will be behind just tell. Hotels, just tell. So you'll be able to go to any hotel that's sponsored in it, and they will advertise that they do. And sections of the hotel, listen, sections of the hotel will be devoted to helping the homeless. And you can support that by supporting those hotels, by going to those hotels and meeting those people and talking with them. Wouldn't that be a better vacation if you got to talk to a homeless person at a hotel that's getting free stay? And you got to go in there and say, I got to talk to the guy, and you know, we support you, and we participate in supporting this hotel. Because hotels have empty rooms every day. They're already starting to do some of this in California with what they call vouchers. Get the homeless off the street. If I had the ability through the government to just walk up to that man and hand him a voucher rather than a little bit of change and say, look, here's where you can stay for the next year. Just show up and hand this to the hotel. And that's what we can have social workers doing, driving around, handing out vouchers and saying you can go to this hotel, they have homeless stay there. Where you just show up. And that can save someone's life, especially during the winter time, especially up north. We need to grow up. We need to grow up as a society. Those hotels are a lot of times empty throughout the years. So they have sections of the hotels that are dedicated in helping these people get off the street. That's one way out of the many. Apartments can do the same. You know, we have Section 8 problems, but we also have Section 8 helps. We have Section 8 out there to help. So we have ways of helping people, but there's too much paperwork. There should be something where they just say that they are. They just have to go up there and say their problem, and they let them in. Then, after the few months or whatever, they get their information that they may need. They can have postal addresses and all of that stuff organized. Where whenever they check in, they put their name down, and then boom, they have their own address to get things in the mail, like their social security card, or possibly maybe important documents that they may need to get started. Work programs. All right? 5th and 6th, work programs. Now, you think this is odd that I'm going first responder first. Well, that's a big problem. That's why I'm doing first responder first. But then the second first responder, then third family, and then fourth. I think I showed some photos of housing. And then fifth, we have a problem with homelessness. So we need to find a way where we can give these guys vouchers. It'll have an address on the voucher. We can have guys that go pick them up, just like a rideshare, and drop them off at these hotels that are honoring homelessness problems and honoring people that are in desperate situations and need help. Okay? So that's also going to be something that I'm campaigning and running for presidency, is attacking the homelessness in a good way. I hate to say attacking. Attacking's not the right word. Approaching homelessness in a friendly way and being hospitable to those that need shelter. It's called free shelter, okay? For everyone, especially California and the West Coast, where people just look at it as a problem. It's not a problem. It's been an issue. It's been a thing since society started housing people back in the Greek times. Okay. All right. You get it? Okay. So we can work on that too. Now, another problem too, 6, is government money. Okay. I am going to be kind of a Hamilton in the aspect that I've been a radical about this, about no longer using money. I know this is people are like, what are you talking about? No money. We're going to switch over to like a karma point system. I'm a big Radiohead fan about the karma police, but we're going to switch over to a karma system. And this is going to be what we're already kind of doing anyway. And you'll learn about this whole system where government money will change. We have to change it. We can't keep with the same thing Hamilton had. The way that he's working with the federal banks and all this kind of stuff. It's just going to all collapse eventually. So we have like a karma point system. There'll be like a fair trade kind of thing. And we're going to look at this with some economics people, and I'm going to talk to some philosophers so that we can deal with money in a different way. And then eventually down the line, we'll talk about drugs and medicine. My sister's a nurse, so there's a time for medicine and things like that. We're going to talk about all that too, and healthcare. And we're going to try to make it where instead of saying free healthcare, we're going to say common sense healthcare. If you're rich and you want your own private sector healthcare, that's fine. You can have it. But we're going to up the ante and spread some of those doctors around to the poor communities. So we're going to make great doctors be in poor communities where people can get proper sutures and proper medicine and proper treatment, proper psychological help. We're gonna do this by taking rich doctors and making them work in poor neighborhoods. And that's going to be a big deal because doctors are paid a lot of money. And they don't always want to be in poor neighborhoods doing good work. That's the common sense approach. If you want to pay for healthcare, please do. The more money you have, the better healthcare you'll have. But let's also share that healthcare with the poor. Now, if you are challenged and you're making less than $30,000 or $20,000 a year, that's all you have to say. Okay? And then later they'll ask for paperwork to prove your income, like your tax return or whatever. And that will dismiss you from any healthcare charges. I know a case where a lady was charged $50,000 if she's going to the ER, getting some stitches or whatever, you know. My wife one time was charged $150,000 just because they saved her life with potassium or something weird, okay? Stuff's got to stop. The medical care, the medicine has gotten out of hand, and we got to get on it. I got to make an order. Dave's Hot Chicken. They got this little chicken, this little cartoon thing. I think it's kind of cool. Pretty cool. I like this kind of stuff right here. Chickens driving a jet plane right there. So maybe kind of like a Hamilton type. To get rid of all money immediately would be absurd. So we'll start with karma points, which would be a way of buying goods and doing good deeds. Let's say like you don't have a job, but you open up the Karma Points app, and it allows you to do good deeds on the app. Then you receive karma points. I gotta put this in the thing. It could be like delivering food. It could be anything. And so these karma points you can buy things with, just like you would do with financial things. You work at grocery stores, you buy goods, clothing, all kinds of stuff, just by doing good deeds. Now, who decides on what's good deeds? Well, you know, that's just common sense stuff. Like, it can be delivering food, it can be even like writing a song, and they could give you certain type of karma points for it. So it changes the face of the sound of money. I'll try to explain myself a little bit better. It not only changes the face of money, but it changes the sound of it. Man, I did this and that and this, and I helped rebuild this person's fence. I got 1,000 karma points, and then I went out and I bought a new guitar, or I went out and bought a new coat, or I went out and bought some groceries with the karma points. We're adding something so that we can kind of slowly withdraw from the need of having money. And these karma points are going to help inflation. It's going to kind of balance us out because we owe so much money to ourselves. We're in this $1 trillion deficit. We're in this horrible deficit. It's horrible. And we owe this money to ourselves. About 80% of it is all owed to our own country and businesses. Money's one thing and karma points are another. Facebook can participate if they want. Drooble does. So Drooble, you can get on the Drooble website and you can say good things about people's music and it gives you karma points, and then you can upload your own. So it's just being nice and being kind gives you karma points, and you can use those karma points anywhere that takes them. You have to find ways of being nice and kind and being hospitable. That's my Hamilton approach to balancing some of this inflation and helping people deal with financial problems. These karma points can eventually even help you get better loans and even help you get into a house of your own. It's not on the same level as money. So all of a sudden, you find a new way of getting the things that you need simply by being kind. That's my Hamilton kind of thing. And that will be worked out with all the economic geniuses that are out there today to design it and create this app that you're able to use. And like, hey, you went out and bought a sandwich today. Yeah, I used my karma points, you know, that kind of thing. Or, hey, I went out to the mall and bought a brand new coat with my karma points. You see? So this will be a new kind of approach to society. Now, one more thing I want to approach with the homelessness real quick before I drop off this hot chicken, because I know you want it. We can invent a device similar to the one that I'm holding. Okay. Similar to the one that I'm holding. Okay. Where we can give it out to people that are homeless or that are on the side of the street that can track a sign that they're holding for advertisement for a business. For example, this guy over here is over here by this stoplight. He could be advertising for these other businesses like Dave's Hot Chicken or Outback or whatever. And they pay him a little bit, you know, a little bit of money. And he holds this device that's connected and a sign so that he at least can be advertisement. Because anybody can advertise. He doesn't have to go through all the bull crap. And he'll get karma points for doing that. And he'll be able to use those karma points at places that take it. Okay? So it's the thing about being kind or helping. And instead of standing there with a sign saying, you know, give me change, he could be standing there with a sign saying, hey, City View Car Wash. And he just has to hold that sign and it builds the karma points and then he can use it for things that he needs. Why not? Why can't we simply do that, you know, to help this? It'd work really well in New York City as well as anywhere else in the world. Why Apple and some of the big techs are not approaching this problem? What's wrong with them holding a sign and getting back on their feet? What's wrong with giving them karma points? Okay, now listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, watcher. I am being garnished, okay, and it hurts. It hurts very, it's a bad thing. Because when you garnish someone, you're telling them, well, when you work, you have to owe me this amount of money. But, you know, with the rich people, you garnish them 40% probably. We're talking about like almost millionaires. They have to pay 40% of the millions of dollars that they make. Why would you make a poor person pay 40% of what they make? So we have to stop that. That's a cruel and unusual punishment, and that creates horrible tragedy. We'll have to stop that too. You cannot garnish a poor person 40% of their income. It would kill them. But you can garnish a rich person's 40%. Because that's what you do. There's got to be a limit. Listen, we all have problems. But you cannot take everything from a poor person and say, well, this is what they owe us, or, you know, and we're acting barbaric against poor people, especially poor fathers. And I have the right, God gave me the ability, and God gave me the gift of children. You're not to punish poor Christian fathers you're not to punish poor Christian fathers for watching, meaning you basically have seen me be given the gift by God to have children. That's a fact of life, and you're not to punish someone for that, regardless of the amount of money they make. Because God gave me the gift of children. He gave me that beautiful gift, that blessings of children. You're not to interfere with that, because that's breaking that line between church and state. Okay? Now, let's use David Koresh as an example. David Koresh was given the gift to have beautiful children, regardless of how much you dislike him. Your little call time on him to go in there and kick in the doors and shoot him all up and kill all his family was called showtime. Look at it. Look at the paperwork on it. It was called showtime. And you were to kick in the doors and kill everybody, right? And you burned down his blessings because he was kind of nutty, only because he had guns. That was the only reason that you got to do that, because you saw that as a danger. Now, there are many Christians that don't. And when you cross that line between church and state and it gets too bad, God can intervene. And 9/11, September 11th, was a dark cloud and a reminder. Okay? It was a dark cloud and a reminder. It can be worse. Now is your time, Biden. Now is your time. You're not going to have all the time in the world. I would suggest to pray. If you can get on your knees and pray and ask for forgiveness, I would suggest. The American people are hoping that you do. Remember, we have the right to worship. We have the right. It's pretty much our First Amendment right. It's part of the Constitution. The freedom of press is part of it, but it's also, we have the freedom of religion. It's almost like it's right up there, right next to the Second and Third Amendment, or whatever amendment it may be. I have to go back and brush up on the Wikipedia to find out that those amendments. But we do have the freedom of religion. And part of worship is believing in that. Part of worship is believing. Part of worship is believing in your God and your religion. And my religion says that it's okay to be poor. I don't have to make your extra $400 to serve my Lord, Jesus Christ. There's no danger in it. It's just paper. Money is just paper. I can still worship my Lord, my God, without giving you the rest of what I have, or everything I have. Now, Koresh didn't have to do that, because David Koresh, he had plenty of money. He sold all the guns he wants. But I believe that guns are brutal, and I believe that they are harmful, and that a sidearm or a pistol is used just to kill a man. And that's wrong, and that's not what Jesus taught us. So I have to adhere to my Messiah, Jesus Christ. I have to follow his commands on the way that I make my money. And if it doesn't please you and your country, you have to stand up for my beliefs, because it's freedom of religion. And there is a line that separates church and state. We still live by that. My marriage with Angel was a holy marriage that was done by Pastor Ricky Primrose. He is a pastor at a church. Carter Cox was the one that devoted his time and energy to baptize me for the sake of being a member of that church. And I appreciate that. They're sacrificial people. Now, my church taught me that it's okay to worship, that I should not feel ashamed to worship, and to follow what Jesus Christ tells me to do, which is to love thy neighbor and thy brother. And he likes when I give food to the people. Now, God's going to provide me a way to give the money that you so demand in a very cruel way. But when that money is paid, it's not going to look good for your country. It's not going to look good for your government. And money has been paid. I am to use that money to tithe to my church, which I have the opportunity to do, or to what I see as my church. And I can tithe with my time. You don't always have to tithe with money. You can tithe with time. You can use your time to tithe. Old story that revolved around my church. They planted missions in Africa and different countries. And the children there that wanted to tithe to the Lord could not always do it with money. So they would do it with things they would find, presents they would find, and they would tithe to the Lord with these presents, and sometimes with their time. God said that that's okay. that I am allowed to tithe with my time. But he wants that time to be used honoring him, not you. Now I'm going to say another thing, Biden, to you before your term is up. There is someone that is more powerful than you. His name is Jesus Christ, because he is King of all kings. He is king over you. Now look into my eyes. Does it look like I'm lying? I'm not lying. Jesus can change everything very quickly. You should trust in him very quickly. There are things in nature and even in science that can travel at very fast speeds. You do not want to face those things, because those things are out of your hands. I would highly suggest to pray and to remember that you have many Christians out there that want to worship and that want to see their families again. There are many poor fathers that want to see their families again. If I were you, I'd pray for them and help.